Hey, what's up everybody? We are in the shop actually right now, and we are going to do the second episode of the journey where we are going to be tattooing some black and gray rose. This is going to be pure for practice for me to practice my realism a little bit, and I will let you guys tag along as usual. I do have the stencil on the practice skin already, but just to make sure so I can take my time, I am going to outline everything a little bit off camera. I'm gonna line everything pretty much very light gray because I really want to build all the contrast and all that with the shading. So I'm not gonna put any hard outlines in yet. Maybe I will do it in the end if I feel like it needs it in a couple of places, but we will figure it out. I'm just quickly gonna outline it and then we're gonna go right to tattooing, so stay tuned. So for my grays, I'm gonna use full black, about half black, 7 drops or a quarter of an ink cup, 5 drops, and in the last one we're gonna use just 2 drops. Of course, we're gonna fill the rest up with water, and then we are good to go. So as you can see, I quickly outlined pretty much the whole stencil with a very light gray. I am going to use a 17 curved magnum, and for the smaller bits I'm gonna use a 5 round magnum. What I am going to do to start off is do the leaves first, since they're going to be a little bit darker and they're going to help me a little bit with the contrast of the piece and show me how light or how dark I should go with the rose itself. So without further ado, let's just dive into this piece, and we're going to build this up by just using our magnums pretty much. So here you can see I am using a 5 curved magnum to create a bit of texture in the leaves. I do this by just whip shading from the middle of the leaf towards the outside, and you will see later on that I am gonna generally shade the leaves over top of the texture that I just created. What I did notice, since the practice skin is laying on top of the armrest, it is absorbing a little bit of the power of my machine because it has a cushion on the armrest. So I have to pass over way more times than I'm actually used to, which was a little bit frustrating. So it might look like on normal skin I would be overworking the skin way too much. But yeah, it's actually because of that armrest that is absorbing a little bit too much of the punch that my needle is giving. So I have to go over just a couple more times than I'm used to. So I did shade all the green leaves and I went to skip ahead to where we are actually going to work on the rose. I'm going to use my 17 curve mag to create all the shades within the petals of the leaves and petals of the rose. I am starting off with my lightest gray wash because I don't want to make this too dark, and later if I feel like some things need to be darkened up, I will come back with a little bit of a darker shade. Now this is not ideal if you are working on regular skin, but on practice skin this can actually work, and this is also a learning curve for me because if I start out with a too light shade, you can of course always darken it up in the next session, but it's nice to know by practicing, like, okay, I should put this shade here to start off with and see how that actually plays out. So that's actually a good thing for me. Now with the 17 Magnum, I did notice a lot more of that armrest that is really been annoying me throughout this session pretty much, because it does take a little bit more power, and a 17 Magnum will give a little bit more resistance on the skin, and with that cushion in the armrest absorbing everything, it makes it a whole lot harder to actually get the shade in, and it takes me a lot longer to get these shades in the way I want them to. So what I should have done is probably moved over to a desk and let the armrest for what it is, but I was already into this piece and I was just working my way around it. But yeah, I should have just moved to a different spot like the desk or something like that, because what does happen is it kind of feels like you're not stretching. So whenever you're doing a real tattoo and you're not stretching enough, this is actually what happens, and shades get a bit inconsistent and the ink doesn't get in as the way you want it to. So maybe this is also a good thing for you to see if you're struggling with your shading and you're getting what I'm getting here, then it's probably because you're not stretching hard enough. So it's a good learning curve for me also to see how important stretching is whenever you're tattooing. So for the inner part of the rose, or the bud from the rose pretty much, I am using a bit of a darker shade because it is surrounded by all these petals and you want that to be a little bit darker and to also give the piece a nice contrast as well. I am using my half black and my 7-drop shading solution to actually shape and shade this part to create a nice dark and rich tone on the inner part of this rose. So now that I got the general shading done of this rose, I'm gonna go back to my 5 curve magnum and just quickly pass over a couple of edges and lines to touch those up a little bit and tighten these up, because those kind of details are actually really important for a piece like this. What I'm also going to be doing is darken up a couple of these spots that I have already done that I feel like that might be a little bit too light, especially because I am going to layer a little bit of shading over top that you're seeing me do now, because that part of the leaf is kind of coming from behind the rose. So I do want to bring a little bit of a shade in there just to give it a little bit more definition and give it a little bit more contrast throughout the whole piece, rather than having just a plain petal that's just sitting there. So I'm just layering over, and we can also bring in a little bit of textures in these kind of spots to make the piece just a little bit more interesting. The same thing with the folded over petal right here, because it is coming from behind that other petal and a little bit more from inside the rose. So I want to add a little bit of shading in there, as well as just smoothing out those shades that I created previously with the larger magnum. And at this point, which is kind of sad because it's at the end of the tattoo, I am noticing I probably could have done this tattoo better with my 5 curve magnum, or at least with a smaller magnum than the 17 curve magnum that I used, because it was it was a little bit easier actually to create nice shades with my 5 curve magnum. Now it could be because of that very annoying armrest that you see that I'm working on, but I don't want to blame all the bad stuff on the armrest. So it could also be my machine, my hand, my pressure, a whole lot of different things, but it is something I need to be worried about if I should actually use a smaller magnum or a larger magnum for these kind of things. So let me know in the comments, if you do a lot of black and gray tattoos, what is your favorite magnum to use whenever you are doing a rose or any piece actually. So let me know in the comments. there you have it. This was already the second episode of this new revamped version of the journey. I really enjoyed doing this piece and I absolutely learned a lot from it. Now I want to hear from you what you actually think about it. Now if you really enjoyed this video and you learned something from this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to my channel. You'll be a big help to the channel. Hopefully next week we are going to do a very cool new episode. If you have any ideas for me what I should do next, just drop them in the comments and we'll get them in future episodes of this journey. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day and I will see you in the next one.